Let me share with you how Mario Wonder put the wonder back in Mario games for me. Now, my first impression of Mario Wonder wasn't actually anything visual. I was driving the day that the Nintendo Direct dropped, revealing Mario Wonder, and I had the phone next to me with one of my colleagues was actually watching the Direct, so I could only hear what was going on, and I can tell you, I was so confused, because the first thing you hear in the trailer is that flower talking, and I was like, what's going on? And my colleague's like, oh, they're revealing a new Mario game. And all I could hear was chaos, unrecognizable themes, wowie zowies, and all sorts of stuff, with my colleague being pretty much awestruck as to what was going on. As soon as I was able to pull over, I actually watched the trailer. I was like, what the heck is going on with this game? It is just all over the place. I'm intrigued because I had gone off the 2D Mario ship many decades ago at this point, I would say. I haven't cared about 2D Mario since, honestly, Super Mario World. And I didn't even own a Super Nintendo. My last game that I owned from a 2D Mario that I actually really enjoyed was Mario 3. Super Mario World, I loved way more than Mario 3, but I never owned it. I always had to borrow it or rent it to play. I tried all the new Super Mario Brothers series, and I have to say, I was absolutely tired. I was so freaking tired of that format. When New Super Mario Brothers came out, it was like, oh, okay, it's like a reimagination of 2D Mario games. Cool. And then New Super Mario Brothers Wii came out, and then New Super Mario Brothers 2 came out, and then New Super Mario Brothers U came out. And I say this with love because it's still a well-crafted game, but it didn't offer any of the wonder that I was looking for in my games. I wanted to be impressed. I wanted to be surprised. And there was just nothing really, it was very formulaic. I think that's the word I can say. What I really disliked, and this might sound dumb to any of you who are enthusiasts of 2D Mario games, but one of the things that really triggered me that I hated about the new Super Mario Brothers series was the world map. Mario World opened up what the world of Mario meant. You know, Mario 3 introduced world maps. Mario World just expanded it to a whole, I love the whole dinosaur kingdom. I love seeing, oh cool, Bowser's ship crashed in here. We're working our way around the world. Every area feels very unique. We're taking down these castles. It felt like an adventure. And then New Super Mario Brothers changed all that with a linear map where every world is, here's the world, here are the levels literally in a line with one, sometimes an offshoot. Here's a castle in the middle, a castle at the end, and we're going to open everything with the same cutscene. It was just really lackluster. And I know we don't play Mario games for stories, but and then they just did that for 2 to 3 generations of consoles with all the new Super Mario Brothers. So all that to say, I had fallen off the 2D Mario. In fact, when I got my DS way back, the first thing I wanted was a 2D platformer, and I looked at my options. I was like, I don't want to buy a 2D Mario game, even though actually, no, I never did end up buying it. So I looked around. I actually ended up picking up Rayman Origins. And at the time, Rayman Origins delivered what I wanted. It had all of this unexpected stuff. And then they one-up that with Rayman Legends, which is a fantastic 2D platformer with rhythm levels and all sorts of surprises and things that I can see Mario Wonder has taken inspiration from. So if you're looking for more of that wonder, I really, really recommend Rayman Legends, which actually has Rayman Origins pretty much included into it. So anyways, let's talk about Mario Wonder and why this was such a life-changing event for me. First of all, I've always played Mario games alone. And the reason for that is I've just never had a player 2 that wasn't a burden to me. And I say that in the most loving way because it gets old quick when you're playing a Mario game at a certain skill level and there's no one around at your skill level. They're just constantly falling in the hole. Okay, it's fun for the first 10, 15 minutes, but then you want to progress, you want to play. And if the person can't keep up with you, they are a burden and they feel like a burden. It's not fun for them either. And so you have to really slow down your skills. So first of all, that's why I didn't play it. Also, I feel 2D multiplayer games over the past decade or two just haven't really found a way to make playing in a co-op style accessible or fun, with the exception of, I would say again, Rayman Legends made multiplayer work really great. I really enjoyed that. So anyways, with Mario Wonder, I decided to play this with my son, who's now 15 years old, and probably better at games than me. In Mario games, we're pretty much even in skill, and so this was a whole different experience. I was Mario. I always like my vanilla character. He picks Luigi, loves Luigi, so it was like the perfect tag team. And we went into this game, and there was just so much like laughter through the whole thing, where sometimes I'd mess up, and well, actually, let's say he'd mess up, and I'd like poke fun of him. I'm like, oh my god, you're like causing us to lose lives. And then only for 5 minutes later for me to mess up in a similar way, and then he'd just look at me like, really, Dad, what are you doing here? And so there was like that fun back and forth going on, but the challenge was there. I had someone to share it with, but what really like sparked the wonder was the fact that we never knew what to expect. No, if you've played a Mario game before, this game changes everything, that you can't predict what's gonna happen. And then you start getting the hang of the level, and then boom, they drop a Wonder Seed on you, which changes the whole game. And I love that they like ramp up the music when a Wonder Seed happens. And the first thing that, I was conditioned to do is, oh, you get the Wonder Seed, you just got to hustle to the right. I don't know, it feels like you pick up a superstar, and that you just got to hustle and go fast. After a while, I realized that's not always the case, because that will kill you if you're not careful. So you actually have to assess, play properly. But the way the levels transform, the way there's so much charm, the transformations of Mario, Luigi, the characters themselves, super fun. My favorites being, there's a part where you turn into a blob that sticks to the walls. Oh my god, I love playing as a blob. I'm just like zooming around the walls and like making like race car sounds as I'm going. My son's just like in pain laughing because he thinks it's the dumbest thing ever. But I am so entertained by being a blob that bounces and that can stick to walls and just zoom around. My second favorite is the spike ball. There's a part where you just turn into a big spiky ball and you just destroy everything. The Wonder Seed is such an innovative feature to a 2D platformer. I love what they did here. Going back to my first impressions, I was captivated. I was curious, but I was like, what if it's another lame 2D Mario game? What if it does, like, maybe I'm over 2D Mario. I'm old now. And the game launched and the reviews came out and everybody's like, oh, it's the best game, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I used to work for a Nintendo review site, and Nintendo reviewers are Nintendo fans. So if you give them more of the same, they're usually just going to praise it. So I'm a little cautious when it comes to that. But then one night I was bored. I just bought the game. It was a few weeks after release. Popped it in, and that's when my life changed, and I was like, just great. I was cautiously optimistic, because when the game starts, it has that new Super Mario vibe where it's a very simple cutscene, and I'm like, okay, like Mario doesn't need a big, like, crazy cutscene like, say, Mario Galaxy, which probably one of my favorite openings to date for a Mario game. So anyway, 2D, Bowser, shows up, gets some Wonder Seeds or whatever, turns into a massive flying castle, and heads out. And the tutorial area you start with reminds me a lot of New Super Mario Brothers, which I'm like, it's like a very linear couple levels lined up. Bowser flies over as the castle, just like in New Super Mario. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna be more of the same. And where it really like kind of opened up for me is a couple levels after the first world, actually. You make it to the Petal Isles, and when I realized the Petal Isles is basically like a hub to the rest of the world, that's when my mind started going like, okay, it's different. And you see Bowser in the center of the map as a constant reminder of like, oh, this world is being threatened by Bowser, who's working on his amazing wonder, whatever that is. I like that drive. I like being reminded. It has that similar feel to Mario World, and then all the worlds are quite different. And I even love it more after I think the second world or third world, I forgot what point, the game's like, you know what? You're good enough now. Play whatever world you want in whatever order. I was like, oh, okay, that's a modern twist to things. I'm okay. I still ended up going in the order that, but other things I want to highlight about the game, the power-ups make or break Mario game. I would say it's like the identity. The fact that the elephant here, like when I first saw the elephant in the trailer, it was like, what is going on? Love the elephant. Absolutely love it. Wowie zowie me all day, because I love being this elephant. He's chunky boy. He's so charming. And I just love like just flipping my, I don't want to repeat what every other reviewer is saying. Oh yeah, the graphics, the animation, like we know it looks amazing. The talking flower, it's charming. He doesn't talk too much. He talks just enough that you're like, hey, you want to give him a name. Like I would call him Bill. He's got kind of a Bill vibe to him, and that's okay. If you're named Bill, you remind me of a talking flower. That's all right. The badge system, I have to say, upon reflection, I was expecting more. I love what they did with the badges, but throughout my full playthrough, I've barely swapped them. I'm in the end game now, so I've finished, the main story, rolled credits, and now I'm trying to collect everything in all the levels. So I think I'm going to be swapping badges more at this stage, but I was surprised that throughout most of my playthrough, I pretty much just kept the big hat that lets you glide. There was no reason really for me to change. That was a really good power up to help me get through the levels and kind of adjust for my mistakes. So I pretty much stuck to that. What I really loved was the badge challenge levels. It really changed up the gameplay, and I absolutely love the music that they came up with for those levels. It reminds me of like a Dragon Ball Z training arc. Whenever I got into the levels, I was like, dun, 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 dun. Like I just felt so powered up to get the power up challenge. It was good, and oh man, the music. The music, I don't know if I could say it's hard to introduce like new iconic music to the Mario universe, because they do it all the time, but this game did it. Like, they succeeded. It's really good beats that stick with you and that I will hum as I just did now. What else do we have? We've got shops. I do like that the shops let you buy things, let you have a reason to have the coins. I feel that's an element they took from Mario Odyssey. I feel they could have done a little bit more. I like that I could buy badges. But the whole like standee collector thing, I didn't use a single stand in my entire playthrough. I don't care about them. I don't want to collect them, but I will because it's there and it's probably part of the completion thing. Other things that they could have done better, I feel the character select, like they did a great job at adding 8 playable characters, but why were so many of them like duplicates? I feel it's the whole thing about like throwing in 2 Toads in the new Super Mario universe. Why do we need 2 Toads? You have so many characters. Put in some Wario, put in some Waluigi. Do we really need this many Yoshis and this many Toads? At least they put a Toadette. Like, it's a step in the right direction. They put Daisy, but they were almost there. Why didn't they just finish their assignment? They were so close to getting it right, and they didn't. Another thing that I love, and this is pretty consistent with Mario games, there's always kind of like the challenge mode, the challenge world, everything after the credits. And I was pleasantly surprised to discover on my own that there is a secret world. And I love that it gives me the vibes of the secret world from Mario World, where you have to access it from like different parts of the world. So that I'm loving. So now I'm going with my son through all the worlds, trying to find the secret exits, trying to find extra like levels. I love that sense of discovery of like, oh, there's like parts of the map here that I feel they could put levels. How do we access it? Oh, let's do this level. There's probably a secret exit. And then we're like trying to find how to uncover the secrets. And it's really, really fun. Another thing, we like accidentally stumbled into our first secret at one point, which took us to Captain Toad. And we're like, oh my God, Captain Toad's in here. Like, what a cool Easter egg. And so then we got even more active. So that little like sense of exploration and reward is there. Love that. I feel like that wasn't really there in the new Super Mario series. Sure, there were secret exits here and there, but it was not as rewarding as this. And finally, I just want to leave it off with the Bowser's world. Like, Bowser is probably my favorite character in the Mario series. I love what they did with him here, because at the end, he acknowledges, like, he knows Mario and Luigi or Mario and crew is going to show up in his castle, and he's totally expecting it. And I love that they presented it where he's Bowser is an entertainer. He is your typical villain who wants to show off, show his genius, show his power, and he does it so well in this game because he's like, I have prepared all these levels. And it's almost like a show. He's like, try this. And he's like, aha, you've done that. Like, he was expecting the crew to overcome it. So he's like, now try this. He's never being like, you're like destroying my plans. He's literally throwing these creative challenges, expecting Mario to overcome it, just to throw another one. And then when you beat the last one, that's when he's like, okay, I gotta get in this like myself. But that nuance and that character development, I don't know if we can call that of Bowser. So perfect. So everything about this game I love. I've just been gushing now outside of the new Super Mario like hate. Pardon me for that if you're a fan of that. Anyways, this is not a new Super Mario Brothers hate video. Maybe I'll do that some other time. This is a praise for Mario Wonder. If you haven't picked it up already, if you've been fatigued of 2D Mario games like I have, I highly, highly recommend this. If you do have someone you can play with, even better. There is an online mode. I haven't played it. I don't usually play this online, so I can't comment on that. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a good time in the Flower Kingdom, just trying to find all the coins. On the start screen or on the menu title screen, there are badges, medals for like completion bonus, and I think there's 5 or 6 of them. And I love not knowing what those mean. So now I'm actually playing the game, trying to complete things to see how do I unlock all these awards. I've unlocked one so far. I won't tell you how. Just play the game and you'll figure it out as you go. So that's what we're working on. It's the discovery, the exploration continues, the reward continues, the challenge is there. And so it's a really good time. Let me know if you play Mario Wonder and what you think, without any spoilers of any of the stuff I haven't talked about. I'll see you in the comments below. And until next time, keep it classy.